at the wonderful conversations that I heard in this room, and I'm not sure if it's better to be at a table and really do a deep dive in a particular conversation, or walk around and feel a little schizophrenic because you're hearing all these great things, but you have to move. I think both have value, and that's what I've learned about this conversation about sales. I've owned my business for 36 years, but I really see what I do as sales, even though we're kind of a sales and marketing database company. So what I heard today and what I saw, I thought was totally indicative of sales. And it also, I had a light bulb come on. Tell me what you think about this. Sales reminded me of parenting. So not all of us in this room are parents, but we all had them. And I think everybody is on some level in their business involved in sales. So what I heard at all of these tables was so many things that have to happen to create a good sales culture, or questioning what's involved in sales. Is it just the salespeople? Is it marketing? Is it product development? How do we coach these people? Well, this is all about parenting. We all had parents, and probably some of them were extraordinarily great parents, and some of them were not. And I think it's the same thing in sales. So what are the things that make the difference? And one of the things that occurs to me is that lots of people end up in sales, just like parents. The only training for parenthood is sex. And there's probably not that much training there. So lots of people go into sales and they're like, oh, sure, I can sell, I talk. And it was really interesting to me to hear basically the same ideas come up in different ways at each table. We saw at the very beginning when Eric mentioned that, I sat over here. He was being a good salesperson. He was planning. I'm going to sit here because I want to go last. That was good. We always talk about pre-call planning. But in the reality of sales, like in parenting, so he didn't get to go last. The reality was he was called on second. And so that's sort of like this whole sales process. We can plan, we can train, we can coach. And it's not like adding a column of numbers where everybody can add the same numbers and get the same result. Sales is this amorphous thing, and it becomes really difficult. It's kind of like relationships. We can't have a relationship with our children or spouses and say, well, I told you I loved you 30 years ago. What do you want from me? It's this reinforcement that has to go on all the time. And we talked about, or I heard all these folks talk about what makes a successful coach and how do we do that. So one of the things that I really liked hearing about and putting together are these ideas about coaching, change management, executive buy-in. These are all things that can help contribute to the success of sales, and also the awareness that it's not just the salespeople. It's marketing, it's product development, and how do we put all these things together and realize that all of these things, even accounting and client services, all of these things make a huge difference in our sales environments. Are we teaching the right skills? What are the right skills that we teach to our kids or our salespeople or our colleagues? And how do we do that successfully? One of the things that I thought was interesting was somebody was talking about the very best salesperson they ever encountered. And here were the things that made this salesperson great, if I can find them. Well, Rosalie, I'm going to ask you again because now I can't find my notes. Do you remember what you said? Oh, here it is. I found it. Okay, so when asked about what made the best salesperson in the world great, she said, number one. Any guesses, number one?
Listening.
Yes. First thing, they listened. They were persistent. They were able to identify pain. They were good at presenting. They know how to take the order. And they continued to prove value after the sale was made. And one of the most important things was also they know when to shut up. And David told a great story. I'll let you tell your story again, David. It was good about that.
Well, I was just commenting on CEO of one of our businesses that we're working with, who's, in my view, extremely talented sales guy and a great leader, but struggles with one issue. So one day, in kind of a Steve Bachman fit of frustration, I said, I can double your productivity overnight. He said, fantastic. How are we going to do this? And I said, when you've got the answer, yes, just shut up. And this guy just can't stop talking. And Julia was commenting, we went to one presentation where he did a phenomenal job, and the customer was really like, yeah, la, I love this. And then half an hour later said, well, this is not for me, because he just couldn't shut up.
Talk about buying it back, like Joe to buy it back, right? In addition to talking about the different aspects of a company that's involved with sales, I also heard some really good discussion about what's the hunter-farmer model, and how is that being turned on its head? And are we hunters and farmers, or farmers, or are we more facilitators? And are we doing win-loss assessments? So do we understand when something doesn't go right, why? And are we doing it ourselves? Are we doing it through a third party? And the reason that all of that is so important is because none of this is about us, if us is the salesperson. It's really all about the buyer, the customer. What do they think? And when we change that shift and think about what is it that the buyer needs, it really makes a big difference in how we think about all of this stuff. So I know what you need, and that's lunch. So thank you.